Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams. Tonight, we're having another cryptid corner. We're going to look at cryptids, massive amounts of cryptid stories from everywhere we can find them. We're just going to have a lot of fun tonight. But first, as always, before we look at that, we're going to look at some artwork from my own upcoming graphic novel, Scumdogs. Okay? Let me go to share screen. Here's my extreme 90s cover. This cover, as I've said before, is to harken you back and take you back to the 90s with the extreme comics boom. Now, the name of my graphic novel is Scumdogs. It's a parody comic book. I parody the cartoons from the 80s and 90s. This is basically a very insane, funny version of the cartoons from the 80s, like G.I. Joe and Transformers. You'll see good guys fighting bad guys, but they'll be complete morons, but having a lot of fun doing it. Now, the Scumdogs themselves, they're supervillains who want to take over the universe. Much like the Decepticons or Cobra from G.I. Joe, they're a bunch of morons. At least they come off like that. They're just your classic Saturday morning villains who want to rule the world. See, the Scumdogs used to be pro athletes. They used to compete in sporting events in the future that were held with superhuman athletes as the competitors. You see, they're called Scumdogs because, they were scum and dogs. Because to compete in these sporting events, you had to be a superhuman athlete, and you became superhuman by trading in your humanity for money. Basically, you transformed yourself into a monster, either through science or magic, and then you did it so you could make money. They did it for fame and fortune. So these guys, being a bunch of money-grabbing bastards, aren't exactly the nicest guys around. So when they get banned from sports, the Scumdogs decide to take over the universe. They're led by Deathmug. He's an arrogant dictator who wants to rule the universe. He's the purple guy with the metal mask over here. He's a overblown, egotistical maniac who won't stop till he rules everything. Because he's used to getting whatever he wants. Because if you compare the Scumdogs to today's athletes, if they were given superpowers, they'd be supervillains. Now, Deathmug, not all pro athletes, I suppose. Now, Deathmug is based on various villains from 80s cartoons. I took the looks from various villains from 80s cartoons like He-Man and G.I. Joe and Transformers, and basically made my characters. Like Skeletor from He-Man, he has a skull face just like Skeletor. And his face is also a metal mask, much like Cobra Commander, the leader of Cobra from G.I. Joe. You can see Deathmug fighting his archenemy Buick Starpoon, the guy with the pink pompadour hair over there. Now, Buick Starpoon and his team in the Space Forces, the Wild Rangers, they're basically a parody of G.I. Joe and, characters from Star Trek and Star Wars. Because if you notice Buick Starpoon's uniform, the green and white uniform he's wearing, how it looks like a uniform you'd see in Star Trek, you're getting the idea. Anyone on this cover with a similar uniform to Buick Starpoon is part of his the Wild Rangers. Now, Buick Starpoon is one of those overblown, arrogant military type characters. He always thinks he's right, never listens to anyone else's opinion, and because he never listens to anyone, because he's so arrogant, when he basically leads his men out on a mission, it basically turns into a stupendously huge disaster with explosions and disasters everywhere you look, or whether a complete marauding and mayhem everywhere you look. Now, because the Wild Rangers are all G.I. Joe parodies, they're also basically, that means they're G.I. Joe parodies, which means each of them has a military specialty. Because if you know anything about G.I. Joes, you know that each G.I. Joe had a military specialty. And, my guys also have their military specialties. It basically means they're either supremely skilled soldiers or pilots, or maybe they're spies, and they would work for G.I. Joe. My characters themselves are a parody of that, being complete idiots. Now, over here is another member of the Wild Rangers, the guy with the mohawk and the darker blue uniform. Dark blue and white uniform. His name is Roadhog, and his military specialty is that he's an army guy. He used to be part of the United States Army as a soldier. Then he joined up with Buick Starpoon and joined his Wild Rangers. Now he fights the Scumdogs. Then you have this bald guy with a gun down here in the lighter blue uniform. His name is Beach Pounder. His military specialty is that he's a Marine. Just a Marine. Then this guy back here in the red uniform driving that vehicle, firing off his missiles, his name is Blast Tank. His military specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. All right, we looked at this. This covers one of 3 different variant covers you'll be able to back in my Indiegogo Goes Live, so you have that to look forward to too. Now let's go over here and look at Girl Friday. Girl Friday is another member of the Wild Rangers. Yeah. She was assigned to the Wild Rangers as Buick Starpoon's second in command because while, as I said, the Wild Rangers fight the scum dogs and save the universe every day, they're also complete morons. And as I said, Buick Starpoon makes everything and his team make everything into a disaster. So, and because of it, they basically do a lot of damage to the surrounding area, and it was pissing people off. So the populace were basically continuing to scream at Girl Friday's superiors and the Space Forces, their bosses, to do something about them, to rein them in. So they assigned Girl Friday to basically be Buick Starpoon's second in command, to basically babysit him. And Girl Friday, if you notice, her name is Girl Friday, is a parody character. She's a parody on the Girl Friday kind of character. You know, those female soldiers who are basically in love with their superior officers. The joke here is that Girl Friday pretty much completely hates Buick Starpoon. And she basically would like to get out of there because she blames him for the fact her career is a little better than minding a bunch of idiots. Now we'll look at Death Mug's henchmen, because you know in all 80s cartoons, every villain in 80s cartoon would have henchmen. They'd do his bidding, but they'd be complete morons. These are my morons. The big fat pink guy down here with shape-shifting powers is Sloppy, and the blue guy with the top hat up here is Murdermouth. These guys are basically a parody of Bebop and Rocksteady from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There are a couple of morons that do whatever Death Mug says, but they can't do anything right. Here we have Hair Metal Doctor. He's another member of the Wild Rangers. As you see, he's not a monster. He was hired by Death Mug to be his mad scientist. He's a parody of a character from G.I. Joe who works for Cobra known as Dr. Mindbender. Dr. Mindbender was a mad scientist, but my mad scientist has been crossed over with a hair metal musician. He thinks of all the machines the scumdogs use to try and take over the universe. And here we have Miss Breasty Melons, who's another parody character. She's a parody character of the villainess, the Baroness from G.I. Joe, one of Cobra's soldiers and stuff. Unlike the Baroness, who's one of those sexy femme fatale characters, who's a spy, Miss Breasty Melons here is basically a bimbo blonde. She's a bimbo blonde bombshell from California. She used to be the CEO of her own company, but she was bored. So one day she decided to join the Scumdogs and be a villain for fun. All right, that should do it there. Get you the idea on what we're looking at here. All right, let me exit out of this. Oh, Bianca the Zombie. Hello, Bianca the Zombie. Aloha, dude. Thank you for checking into the Scumdogs Kennel. Now, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read Comics That Are Bad For You, okay? The there is misspelled. It's THERE. If you want to watch this stream as soon as it's done being made, either go to past live streams on my YouTube channel or use the link on the pinned tweet on my Twitter page at 777megachris1. That's at 777megachris1. Hit that like button because it helps me fight the algorithm so more people can see my content. It means my graphic novel Scumdogs comes out all the sooner. Hit that notification bell for all future notifications, as well as make sure to hit the part that make sure you get all future notifications. And please share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. All right, now we're going to go over here and look at, Indiegogos real quick. We have Vinrella 1. Take a blood-fueled cosmic rocket ride with a vampire warrior princess from Venus. It's made $1,105 with 29 days left. Let's see. Let's look at this trailer. All right, it's Vanrilla, Vampire Princess. Vanrilla 1. You can back this book for, well, $15 for a cover A package, or cover B package is the same price. There's also a cover C package, which is also $15. Each of these look, and there's a cover D package as well. Cover E package, $15. Not bad. Let's see. By backing this perk, you will receive 132-page copy of Cover A Wicked Tongue illustrated by Anthony Sicca, 2x69 prints, early signups to receive bonus prints, 3 trading cards exclusive to backers, and a free MP3 of Vampire Bride. Okay, not bad. Looks pretty good. Apex Comics. Yeah, get some Cryptid comics here. Apex Comics. Vanilla, she doesn't compete with Fembat. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she does. I don't know. I don't really. I need to look more into these comic books. I look into a lot of them, but this is. But I just know of Vanilla here. I think I've heard of Fembat before. Maybe. Either way, let's go and look at some more Indiegogos real quick. Wrath of God is made 110,184. It's still in demand. This is basically a comic book that's basically with a cowboy version of Batman, who basically is a master of disguise and disguise who must fight supernatural threats in the Old West. You can back this book for $25. You have a choice of. It looks like a great looking book, so go back it. We also have Roswell, Texas Rides Again, full color hardbound limited edition of the alt history sci-fi romp from Big Head Press. It's made 3,254 with 15 days left. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at this trailer. Not bad. Apex Comics, great art. It does look good, doesn't it, folks? Let's see down here. Pirate Queen issue 2. I have the first issue of Pirate Queen. I've yet to read it, folks. I do plan to. You can bet it's made 20. The Pirate Queen issue 2 is made 27,403. Roswell, Texas looks good. It does. Pirate Queen, you can back for $25. You have a choice of 3 different covers. Each of them looks pretty good. Go back this book. It looks pretty good. Now let's go down here. Now you look at Mike Barron's Thin Blue Line. Let's take a look at this trailer.
Beginning with issue number 1, Mike Barron wrote Marvel's The Punisher for over 5 years, approaching it as a straight crime comic, without any superheroes, aliens, or robots. Over the course of 60 issues, Barron elevated the gritty anti-hero into one of the most popular and enduring characters in the Marvel Comics universe. Now he brings that same ultra-realistic intensity to his latest graphic novel, Thin Blue Line. In the middle of a long, hot summer, a police shooting ignites the city. Activists, opportunists, and provocateurs descend to riot, loot, burn, and kill. Thin Blue Line follows Officer Valeria Baca and her partner as their detail guarding the mayor turns into a battle for survival. Ride along on brave law enforcement officers fighting for their community and their own survival in a world gone mad. Eisner winner Mike Barron has created an alarming tale that unflinchingly examines human fallibility on every level. Along with penciler Joe Arnold, himself a full-time police officer, and talented anchor Jeff Slemons, they've created a moving and entertaining story ripped straight from today's headlines. Thin Blue Line exposes the defund the police movement and its consequences for society, but several comic book companies have refused to publish it. Now we're asking you to join the effort to distribute it independently and help support the men and women of law enforcement. Get your copy of the only graphic novel to offer an unflinching and not always flattering look at the men and women of law enforcement during a time when we need them the most. Not all heroes wear capes. It's a thin blue line between the rule of law.
Yeah, looks pretty good. That's Thin Blue Line, folks. Ooh, we have so many chats. Apex Comps. Mandy Summers and Peter Gilliam are killing it. Yep, they are. Mandy Summers is doing great. Mike Barron is a writing legend. That he is. And I'd like to have him on my show again someday. And like that. But I keep basically promoting his comic books, and it looks good. I'm buying Thin Blue Line. I might buy it. I would like to, but I'm a little short on money. Maybe I will. All right. Let's see. We looked at this for a while. I think now we'll go over here and look at various cryptid stories. We're just going to be looking at various ones, anything we can find and anything we can delve up. Look at stories we haven't seen before. So maybe I'll go over here and look at some articles from 2019. 2020 forecast. Deceased uncle's silhouette, strange early incident at 2011 Chicago winged humanoid location. Pardon me, folks. Let's read this article. Saturday, 22nd, July 95, 7:25. This happened on April of 1990, just after my Uncle Lou died. We were coming home, and we had this weird flying humanoid thing. Looks like this was back in 1990. Were there wingsuits back then? Because that looks like a wingsuit, but I can't be sure. It does look weird, very weird. We were coming home after a sad and pretty low time in my life. We were driving eastbound down 63rd Street around Pulaski Road in Chicago's southeast side. You see, my uncle and my mom grew up around the St. Bernard's Parish in the community of Inglewood, where they were kids in and around the late 20s and the early 30s. It was one of the things that told me deep down inside that my uncle was in good hands with the angels. You see, also, all his life he liked to fly. Like an airplane, like to fly airplanes, was a distinguished and honored pilot during World War II, flying with the 95th Bomber Squad. So that's how I knew everything was all right when I looked up in the sky, in which deep down someone really spiritual told me to look up, and I did in the eastern sky around the area. Both mom and uncle, as we used to call him amongst our brothers, there it was, my Uncle Lou's silhouette when I last seen him. I told my mom, and she looked up along with my brother, and I pointed to the cloud formation that looked just like his silhouette, and then we all knew everything was okay, but that still isn't the same as having my uncle with us. I see a flying humanoid here and stuff like that. Just these single silhouette, strange early instance, Chicago winged humanoid location. Okay, you saw the silhouette then, huh? Okay, strange woman. When I was living in Vancouver a couple of years ago, I guess it's just more a lot of stories here. 2017, I was walking to my friend's place downtown one night. It was about 8 p.m., so it was darker outside. The street lights were on. I turned down their street. It was in the quarter end of downtown, all housing down the street. In the distance, I could see a woman walking toward me on the sidewalk very slowly. As I got closer, I noticed that after each step, she stopped. By the time I approached her, I saw her pattern. One step, a step for 2 seconds, a step again, a stop for 2 seconds. As I passed her on the sidewalk, she did not seem to notice me. I continued on, stopping back to look, and she continued on in this fashion. It's important to note she did not look high or drunk. She was wearing nicer clothes and seemed to be dressed for the cooler evening. I arrived at my friend's house, who was outside having a smoke, and I explained to them what I saw. She wanted to see for herself and make sure that woman was okay, so we walked back up, and the woman was tripsying along in her slow meditative pattern. My friend approached her and asked if she was all right. No response. She did not acknowledge my friend in any way. Again, she asked if we can help her at all. Still nothing as she continued her steps and stared straight ahead. My friend thought this woman was having some sort of episode and decided we should call the police. I was hesitant. This woman, to me, was just doing a sort of meditation, perhaps. But we called anyway. We were a bit concerned for her safety as she was even crossing the street without looking or stopping. A policeman showed up and also tried to speak to the woman. She continued staring forward as if she were not there. The policeman even stopped in front of her, and she simply turned slightly to go around. The officer said because she is not harming herself or others, there was not much he could do. My friend and I decided to just go home. I still wonder about her. Was this a form of meditation, performance art? Did she receive devastating news and this was her way to cope? How far did she go? Is she still going? Is she okay? If anyone has any theories or has ever heard of a process like this, please let me know. Interesting right there. Strange intuition. I have heard a lot of weird instances. Good. Let me try that again. I've had a lot of weird instances where I have seen visions or like I'm daydreaming about something before it happens. The most notable one that sticks out was when I was about 15. We were living thunder over Louisville and had to walk about a block back to our car. There were people walking all over the streets and cars trying to pull out. We were all in a single line walking along the side of this road, and I was walking up to a car parked with the engine running, here horizontally in the grass, facing the road with the lights on. All I could think of was this car pulling out and hitting us. The feeling was so strong that I remember staring down the headlights like, say. So when I got about halfway past the front of the car, I kind of pushed my mom to make her move faster so that I could get out of the front of this car. No sooner did I get out of the way of the freaking car jerks forward and stops on top of this poor kid's foot. Yeesh. Wow, that sounds bad. That was behind me. The lady apparently meant to put her car in gear and was stepping on the gas instead of the brake. The boy was lucky, not badly hurt, but the lady was so shocked at what had happened that some guy had to pull her out of the car so he could reverse off the kid's foot. All right. That is bad. Very, very bad right there. Let's see various articles. Maybe go down here a bit. Let me do this right here. Let's see. Oh, here's one. Black-eyed kids conversation walking home. I recently came across the following. I guess I could save this for a little bit. I want to see some other articles first up here. I'll come back to this later. I just wanted to go down to see if there was anything good. Let's see. Bat-like flying humanoid confronted in southern. She should not have her license. She should have her license taken away. Probably. This was talking about a bunch of cryptid stories here. The woman basically screwed up and hit the car, or maybe she was. Maybe I should reread that. Maybe she herself was in some sort of daze for some odd reason. But either way, it sounds like she basically this one basically should not have her licenses. She basically literally backed over some kid's foot. But then again, she was so distraught that some guy had to pull her out of the car so he could basically back off of the kid's foot and stuff, get the car off of it. So maybe she wasn't in her right mind at the time. She wasn't high or anything, but we don't know. Either way, let's go and look at some real weird stories over here. Bat-like flying humanoid confronted in southern. Some truck driver observed winged demon at O'Hare International. That creepy location in the woods. Okay, talking to two dead girls. I have to let them in. All right, let's look at this one. Let's see this story right here. I was asleep and I was having what I thought was a dream, but there wasn't anything weird happening. I was just talking to these two girls that I've never seen nor met before, but we were just having a normal conversation. And when we finished talking, I woke up and I just felt weird. I can't explain the feeling other than that I just felt off. I told my mom about it later on, and she said from what I had explained, it sounded like spirits communicating with me. And she said she was getting a strong feeling that they had died in a car accident. She said if I could figure out what to Google, I might find something more about them. Nevertheless, I typed keywords that described them and car crash into Google, and the first things that came up in the search was a car crash that had happened in Australia a week prior, and there was a photo on the website. It was the two girls I had been talking to. Are we to really believe that? You just found them right off the bat? Maybe it could happen, but that sounds a bit out there to me. Ooh. Very weird, though. I will tell you that much of it exactly. Or I have to say this: were those actually the photo you were looking at? Was that actually the two girls that you saw in your dream? And you remember in a dream sometimes you don't remember all the details. So maybe you just immediately saw this picture of these two girls that died. Of these two girls who died in that car crash. Maybe you mistook them for the girls you saw in your dream. I don't know. But I will give you the benefit of the doubt that it could happen. So let's read this right down here. So let me preface this story by saying I consider myself an agnostic in most areas of my life, including the supernatural. I don't fully believe, but I still feel there isn't enough evidence to deny any spiritual intervention from being true. With that, this story still gives me chills every time I hear it. Back in the late 70s, my dad and his family lived in a small town in Ohio. They had just moved into a new house, and my grandma found it extremely unsettling. For the first time, several nights of staying there, my grandma would lay awake, either in her bed or downstairs in the living room, fearful of what was lurking in or around the new house. One night, after another sleepless night, my grandma, who had been making herself something to eat in the kitchen, heard noises over by the front door and went to investigate. When she got to the front entrance, she found my aunt, the youngest member of the family, probably about 4 or 5, attempting to turn the deadbolt of the front door to open it. My grandma then intervened and pulled my aunt away from the door. She was awake, but almost in a trance-like state. Bewildered and a little aggravated, my grandma asked my aunt what she thought she was doing at this time of night. My aunt was silent for a moment, staring off into the space. Finally, she responded to my grandma with a simple sentence. "I have to let them in." My grandma was completely confused and terrified. Asked her what she was talking about. But my aunt just kept repeating the phrase over and over again. "I have to let them in. I have to let them in." The only thing keeping her from the door was my grandma holding her tiny little shoulders from walking any further. Needless to say, my grandma was scared. The next day, my grandma asked my aunt if she remembered their conversation that evening, and my aunt had no recollection of anything. Maybe it was just a bad dream. Maybe it was just a young kid being crazy, but it's enough to give me caution and a steady respect for what might or might not be out there. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was an interesting little article. What do you think? Very creepy. Let me see this. Oops. Very interesting article. We got a few more to look at over here. Let's go look at that Black-Eyed Kids over here, folks. This is an encounter I experienced in the summer of 2009. I was born and raised in the plains of Texas, specifically in an area where Black-Eyed Kids sightings are prevalent. I had heard the stories and tales of legends, whatever you want to call them, since I was a young man, but I never truly believed them. The Black-Eyed Kids was mainly something I entertained as a joke or something to get a raise out of people. This changed in the summer of 2009. It was a warm night in June. I was up late, around 2 a.m., as I typically like to stay up late, especially in the summer, since it would stay fairly warm. Even after the sun went down, I had just run up to the store to grab a big fountain drink and was returning into my house through the back door when I was approached by two children, a boy and a girl. I was very startled once I realized they were there, since I wasn't expecting to encounter anyone in my backyard so late at night. The little boy asked, "Could we come in? We need to use the phone. We are lost." This is when I noticed the blackness of their eyes. Both of them had eyes so black they were like pits. This is also when my heart sank. I couldn't believe it. I was actually seeing them. That they were there right in front of me. As I mentioned before, I had heard the legends of the black-eyed children most of my life, so there was no way I was going to let them in my house. I darted to the back door and locked it as quickly as I could. Ooh, I know, Apex Comics. Creepy, that it is. How are you enjoying my voice for these characters, huh? I think I'm doing a pretty good cowboy voice here because the guy's from Texas. And little kid voices aren't too bad either, but I'm really proud of the this guy from Texas voice I'm doing. Let's see. Let's get back to where I was. Yeah. Once I was inside, I ran upstairs and flipped on the lights to try and see if they were still outside. Thankfully, by then, they were gone. I had so much adrenaline pumping by that point, though, that I grabbed a weapon and began searching the house and making sure all doors and windows were locked. It took me hours to get to sleep that night, and it's an encounter that will stay with me for the rest of my life. These entities took the form of something most people view as innocent, weak, mild, and try to trick unsuspecting people to do God knows what with or to them. I'm just glad my reflexes kicked in and was able to live to tell the tale. The witness later followed up. The boy was wearing a black jacket and shorts with a white shirt and a rope tie. The little girl was wearing a black dress and high white socks. I don't remember any hairstyles specifically, but their overall appearance was dark. It was dark outside as well, so I think both of their hair colors were black. The Everett ghost photo. Oh, I think I've seen this. Maybe. There's a head right here. Looks like a ghost. Because we see a person here, we see the person there, two kids, and we have the little right here. It doesn't look like an actual kid because it looks weird. Good look at this. Oh, so we're actually talking about this. This is a ghost? But what about this? Is this? Oh, this is this kid's hands then? I thought it was another kid. Very weird. Very weird photo right there. Sure, look at this. Maybe I guess I could look at this article. Kind of want to maybe let me go down here, see if there's any other articles to look at. I can come back to this one later. It's doesn't look too bad. Thank you comics. Thank you for that. Yeah, and I did the voices pretty good and stuff like that. Apex here's commenting on my storytelling. Thank you. I think I want to look at a different article. I shouldn't have done that. Let me go back over here. Yeah. Let's see. If you look at these over here. Truck driver observed winged demon at O'Hare. Creepy location in the woods. Creepy winged being encounters reported in Illinois. Medic ghost manifests Bigfoot communication. Maybe. Let's see. Let's see. Bat Mothman abilities and bat-like powers, huh? Witness, well, maybe. We also have something like another bat creature encounter. Which one do I look at first? Let's go look at the Mothman abilities one. Let's see this one. Ooh, look at that. All right, what's this? I live in West Virginia and have seen this Mothman creature myself. Didn't glimpse it. We clearly saw it, whatever it is. It does exist, and I'm not sure how anyone can get a picture of it. I could have had a camera in my hand and still would have not have. When it looks at you, Somehow it paralyzes you. Was it me and my friend and a friend? And for the first hour or so after, couldn't move or even talk. Then for about the next hour, all we could say was, "What the f was that?" And still couldn't move. And guess as it said here, it looks nothing like a moth and nothing like the statue in Point Pleasant. It looks more like a bat than a moth. I can only hope to never see it again. I saw this when I was a kid in Texas. No, not Mantis Man. After a big dark figure with red eyes, big wings, big body. I remember seeing it in a tree in my backyard. I was probably around 6 or 7, around 2002. I'm 23 now, but I remember everything like it was yesterday. Everything since then. I walked outside, stood right under it. It looked down on me and leaned out of the tree. I told it I wasn't afraid. Then it stood up in the tree, jumped out of the branches, and with huge wings, it flew over my house. I remember running around the side of my house and seeing it fly away in the distance. The whole situation made me feel like I couldn't believe in what I just saw. I told my parents in the morning, but they thought I was just a dream. But I never fell back to sleep. That night, I stayed up just thinking about what it could have been. But since then, looking at every mysterious recorded thing I've found on the internet, I've come up to a conclusion that I still don't know what it could have been. Something makes me feel like I should look into the Mothman stories and everything that is a dark figure with a large wingspan with glowing eyes. Interesting right there. Anything down here? Maybe. That was an interesting little article. Here's another story. Mothman had acquired flying saucer technology in some sightings. Does sound like it. I mean, in some, because a lot of stories, Mothman just seems to glide. His wings don't actually flap. He just flies like Superman, even though he has wings. A lot of stories say that. It could be that this creature is somehow manipulating people's perceptions of him. They see an actual monster when in reality it could be any number of weird things, because whatever it is just affecting their perceptions of him. So this is very weird to consider. Went too far. Let's see. Man-like flying humanoid. Mothman, New Jersey swamp monster. Black-eyed kids confirming walking. The Everett ghost photo. Weird highway dead. Cryptid white wolf. Unexplained activity north. Truly bizarre. Large. Yeah. Batwing cryptid encountered after a UFO crash. Maybe large bipolar observed in. Let me see that. Where was I? Where are those other ones I was looking at? Pink winged humanoid observed in a tree. Bizarre entity encounters. I am in the right area, aren't I? There's that. There's this. Yeah. Let's see. Man-like flame. It's this humanoid owl seen in witness gargoyle. Damn, where was I? Massive white Bigfoot chased vehicle. New red-eyed winged human signs. Giant bat-winged humanoids. Talking to two dead girls. Bat-like humanoid flying confirmed. Yeah. Like flying gargoyle to observe winged demon in O'Hare. That creepy location in the woods. I kind of want to look at some of these up here. Let's see. Unexplained humanoid incidents. Winged humanoid. Let's see. Making sure, is that the right one I wanted to look at? Let's go to unexplained humanoid incidents. Okay, here's another spooky story. A really small human creature. This hasn't actually happened to me, but this has happened to my dad somewhere around 1972. He was around 13, and he was told to take his grandma to her house as she's elderly. He and his grandma were walking through a field at night and eventually came across the road where his grandma lived on. At that time where he lived there were absolutely no street lights. The only light source might have been something coming from a different house halfway through the road. He heard scuttling and really squeaky talking. Turned around and could just make out an outline of a really small human figure. He said roughly the size of a stray cat. He said it had 2 arms and 2 legs. This was the point when he ran to his grandma and told her, but with her limited eyesight, she said she couldn't see anything. From that point onwards, nothing strange has happened. Could it have been an animal of some sort, or was it really something human-like? It was in Ukraine, and there's no folklore about it. Has anyone ever encountered small black creatures? These things still haunt me. They are abnormally black, like the color of charcoal. Bodies are shaped like boiling flasks. That's the closest thing I can compare them to. They have eyes that kind of look like a dark glass void, almost like an insect's. And inside them are blinking lights that dart around all over their eye. I encountered this thing when I was in the Boy Scouts about 11 years ago. Sounds like it could be some sort of robot. Maybe it's some sort of alien drone. Let's get back to this article. At a summer camp when we were out doing survival training, this thing stared at me from a hole beneath a large tree that was across from where I had made my shelter for a good 30-ish minutes. There were 3 of them that I saw, and they eventually disappeared down a hole. I didn't make any sound because I was afraid they wanted to attack me. If I did, I was freaked out and didn't tell anyone but my tent mate. The next day, he thought I was messing with him, so I just stopped talking about it. I've looked all over the internet because I still have nightmares about these things to this day. And I can't find any comparable stories for reference. Does anyone happen to know of anyone else encountering small black A's similar to what I describe here? Maybe I'll try to draw a picture of what they look like. But that's not it. No, these were not easily identifiable animals. They had no fur, and their bodies were like the color of soot or ash, except for the eyes, which had these weird, glowy lights in them. These things were a foot or more tall. They stood on 2 legs, not like a rodent or anything similar. These were not rats. They were a foot tall and standing on 2 legs. I know what rats look like. I was in a car at night and on the way home with my mom about 5 years ago. We were on a dark road and something ran in front of us, causing my mom to slow down quickly. The thing was running on 4 long limbs and was not a fox or a dog, as it didn't look like it had fur. It looked like a human with really long arms and legs, but it was running so fast it was almost a blur. My mom does not believe in ghosts or creatures or aliens, but even she was seriously freaked out. We talk about it every now and then, and we both agree it was one of the most spooky things we have ever experienced. All right, that was interesting. Feel free to leave me a few more chats, folks. Let's see, look at some more spooky stories, some more cryptid stories. Black-eyed kids, confrontation walking home, winged humanoid, diamond-shaped UFO, a large bipedal creature observed in Montgomery County. Crowman was seen hovering over Chicago, Washington. Let's see. Hello. A friend shared an NPR article about the Mothman sightings in Chicago, and I was shocked when I came upon your website and research. On November 1st, 2015, 10 a.m., I was chatting on the phone with a good friend, minding my business, making plans for a brunch, when I glanced out my bedroom window and immediately noticed. Oh, we have another chat. Apex Comics. The mom could be a believer now. Yeah, could be a believer now. I mean, yeah, after you see that, what can you say? Let's get back to this article. Immediately noticed something out of place. A very large crow man hovering over a high-rise apartment building about a block away from my house. A man, jet black from head to toe, upright, hovering in the air, about 5 feet above the Midway Pleasant Senior Apartments on East 60th Street. For reference, this is a 17-story high-rise apartment building directly across the street from Washington Park on the south side of Chicago, miles from downtown, and not a lot of high-rises in that area. So I'm on the phone with my friend, but I go silent as I'm watching this thing hovering and and kind of spinning around slowly over the building, and my friend on the phone starts asking me if I'm still there. I start describing to her what I'm looking at, and of course she thinks I'm crazy. By the time I get off the phone to try and take a picture, the thing starts to float away and move westbound behind some trees where I lost sight of it. I call my friend back, and she is trying to rationalize that I saw some sort of life-sized leftover Halloween decoration flying 20 stories in the air like a balloon. I can't say exactly what I saw, as it was unlike anything I have ever seen or could even imagine, but it was alive, and it wasn't any damn balloon. The whole sighting only lasted about 60 seconds, but I got a good look at it from my third floor window before it flew away. The thing had wings tucked behind it, but it didn't need them to hover or move around. I wouldn't say it flew at all. It literally hovered in a standing position. It was jet black from head to toe, front to back. It had to be about 8 feet tall, and I could clearly make out a head, arms and legs, wings folded behind it. There wasn't a single cloud in the sky, and the sky was a crisp, bright blue. It was so sunny that its jet black body looked iridescent, with shades of blue and or purple reflecting off of it in the sunlight as it did a slow 360-degree turn. From the iridescent color and wings, I can best describe the thing as a crowman. It almost looked like how the feathers of a crow looks iridescent from when I was standing at the time. I Googled crowman sightings in Chicago and couldn't find any others. Could be the Mothman on the internet to justify what I saw, because there is supposed to be a Chicago Mothman there. Let's get back to what I was saying. What I saw, or help anyone believe me, I only told about 3 to 4 close friends and family members, and they just kind of joked, filed it away mentally, and we moved on. Well, fast forward to about a week ago, and one of my friends I had told my sightings to spins this NPR article where I come across your collection of other reported sightings. Each sound eerily similar to what I saw. Now, I'm a busy college-educated mom and ear, raising 2 little ones with demanding career in a side business, and I don't have time for any visits from the men in black, the government, or creepy Mothmen seeking revenge for cinching on them. But how is this not national news or a public safety alert? I literally started crying when I clicked on the map in that article and read a reported sign from Washington Park in 2011, just a few hundred feet away from the high-rise building where I saw it in 2015. For reference, Washington Park is 372 acres, and this particular area is pretty close to the large pond on the southeast side of the park by 60th and Cottage Grove. Wish I had more to share, but honestly, I was so terrified to run outside after this thing to take a picture. It had wings, and I didn't need them to fly. I wish I could go back to minding my business, but I really hope you can expose what is going on here. Let me know if you have any questions. Here's the maps of the areas. Yeah. Here's pictures of the place. Ooh. Wow, very, very good. Got time for a few more articles, folks. North New Jersey swamp monster. Maybe. Pink-winged humanoid observed in tree. Let's look at this one. So this happened around 7 years ago in 2012. I was 9 years old. My house is in front of a small forest area. So the backyard is a large clearing with lots of trees behind it. Which is bordered by a fence my father built. In the backyard, there is also a greenhouse and a shed. Behind the trees is a small 5-trailer home park. So I remember going outside during a cloudy day to get my dog. Since he was outside, he was outside for way longer than usual, so I was worried and went to take a look. As I went down the balcony steps to go into the backyard, my dog instantly ran towards the trees and started to bark. I looked up at the trees and saw a pinkish humanoid figure about 6 feet tall with wings. The creature most likely saw me, and it climbed. Another chat. Swamp Thing sighting. Maybe I'll look at it in a moment. I want to do this one first. Or maybe I should look at maybe I should do the Swamp Thing saying first. Let me okay, let's do the Swamp Thing. I'll finish this article like that in a moment. See, New Jersey swamp monster. Ew. Let's see this. I swear to God, this is a real story. I still get the chills retelling it. This was about 15 years ago in 2004 in northern New Jersey. Our friend and I were riding our bikes down his house to mine. It was probably around 9:30, 10 p.m. in the summer, so it was pitch black when we were coming down the road. He only lived about 4 houses down from me, so it was only about 1,500 feet from his house to mine. In front of my house is a swamp as to the legal deed of my parents' house, and across the road on the other side is a swamp as well. We were approximately 200 feet from my driveway, right before the swamp begins, and this thing came out of the swamp about 50 to 70 feet in front of us. It was tall, say about 6 foot at least, long, lanky legs, long arms that looked like they could almost touch the ground. I don't know if it had hair or fur. It wasn't close enough. I wasn't close enough. And the road was basically pitch black except for the light from neighboring houses. It walked on its back legs and kind of lumbered out of the swamp, like it kind of used its front legs sometimes to help run, but definitely a rear two-legged something. Anyway, this thing comes out of the swamp and goes to the middle of the street, turns to us, and makes this weird blood-curdling scream, growl, hissing. A sound I wish I had on tape because I cannot duplicate it. After it makes this noise, it runs across the street into the other swamp woods. Well, my friend and I almost, essed our pants where we stood. You turned our bikes and hightailed it the hell out of there. We took a few minutes to recoup our thoughts and analyze WTF just happened. After a few minutes, we agreed that we both saw the same exact thing, but had no idea what just happened. After regaining our courage, we bolted back down the road to my house. Since that day, I've never seen or heard of that thing again. And for the record, we were both 100% sober, too young to be doing drugs or alcohol. We have deer, coyotes, black bear, but I've never seen them. And all this was nothing of that sort. The swampy area is probably only a foot or so deep. I told my parents, but they just said, "Oh, that's weird," and kind of brushed it off. We didn't go look for prints. We were young and scared S-less. Definitely would have gone back if it happened to me now. It was walking on two legs, and its front appendages were very long, like it could use them to run if it needed to. I wasn't close enough to get a good look at the head, and honestly, I was so scared I was kind of frozen in place until it ran off. I came to my senses, and we booked it the hell out. Vanished in the mist. One time I actually went outside my home around 10:30 p.m. I remember it was kind of foggy, but I wanted to sit out for a bit. The outside porch. I remember seeing something move so fast, and for a small second, I saw a young kid, pale, almost blue skin, dark hair, just smile at me as he turned to face me. When I looked at as he left the section of my home running on or flying. I don't know. I just saw the mist left behind, and as soon as I looked to see if my eyes played tricks on me, the mist was lifting and he was gone. I was 12, 13. It was the most bizarre situation ever. I live in Los Angeles, 10 minutes away from a center. And also, there were rumors about missing bodies in Los Angeles when I was 8. The find of a dead body without any trauma and fully extracted from his blood cells, punctured wounds on his neck. There was found a dead body. Whoa, that sounds like a vampire. Okay, that's very weird. Very, very weird. Let's see. Pink winged humor observed in tree. Let's get back to this article. So this happened around when I was 7 years ago in 2012. I was 9 years old. My house is in front of a small forest area. So the backyard is a large clearing with lots of trees behind it, which is bordered by a fence. My father built in the backyard. There was also a greenhouse and shed behind the trees and a small 5-trailer park home. So I remember going outside during a cloudy day to get my dog. Since he was outside, he was outside for way longer than usual. So I got worried and went to take a look. As I went down the balcony steps to go to go to the backyard. My dog instantly ran toward the trees and started to bark. I looked up at the trees and saw a pinkish humanoid figure about 6 feet tall with wings. The creature most likely saw me, and it climbed through the trees and bushes and attempted to fly up, but it couldn't since the tree was so thick. I ran up the stairs to the balcony and watched my dog continue to bark. The creature had disappeared, so I was worried to where it had gone. I'm not sure what happened after this, and my memory is quite foggy of this incident, but I'm guessing that I ran out inside and hid. I conjured up a few theories as to what it could have been, and I assumed that it was either a featherless eagle or some naked weirdo climbing in the trees. Naked weirdo. Hairless eagle, huh? Pale white figures. I don't know what I saw when I was like 4 or 5 and my family and I came home from the grocery store. My dad told me to unlock the door and that they'd get the stuff out of the trunk. When I entered my house, I looked down the hallway and I saw a pure white figure peeking out of my brother's room door. I tried to say hello to it and wave, but got no response. Out of fear, I left to my family and told my father I saw someone in my brother's room. My father went to check my brother's room, and then the rest of the house. He told us he saw nothing. Another similar thing happened. I don't remember how old I was, but I was younger then, 6. I saw a boy walking into the same hallway, the one I saw the man, not much taller than me. His skin was as light as snow. This boy had a hat, one of those rainbow baseball, ones, like one of those propeller hats. He was also wearing jeans, and I don't remember exactly what color his shirt was. I was playing my stuffed animals while my parents were working and my brothers were playing outside. I tried to talk to the boy, thinking he was one of my brother's friends, but he wouldn't answer. He turned into my brother's room, and the door closed. Wanting to play with him, I opened the door and he wasn't anywhere. I checked under the bed and in the closet and under the covers, but I saw nothing. When I was younger, I thought nothing of these things, but when I look back, I wish someone else was there to confirm what I saw, just to be sure. I know I wasn't imagining things. I have moved from that house and never saw anything like that again. Both seemed to have more average bodied, like if a mannequin could be in someone's house, one in moving, and the other smaller one able to. Both only appeared once. Right. My uncle told me here's another story. Ooh. Another chat. Thank you, Apex. My uncle told me a story a few years ago. My grandma passed away. He says, Apex, by the way, says, whoa. Yeah. Let's get back to this. A few years ago, my grandma passed away. My younger cousin was about 3 at the time of my grandma's death. So a few days before my grandma's funeral, my uncle walks into the room my cousin was in, and hearing her talking to someone, he asks her who she was talking to, and she says grandma. He told me that he just kind of got creeped out and didn't know what to do. The story is what really made me believe in it. I only have one ghost story that happened to me. So a few years ago, I was sitting in my living room. Here's another chat. Beware of your imaginary friends. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you, Apex Comics. That's right. Let's get back to this. That happened to me. So a few years ago, I was sitting in my living room where we have the sliding glass doors that lead out into the patio, into the backyard. On the left side of me, there are windows, and then across the living room on the opposite side was the sliding glass doors. It must have been about 10 or 11 at night, since it was a pitch black out and I was reading a book on the couch. I remember having a weird feeling to look out the sliding glass windows, and when I did, I saw this about 5 foot tall figure walking, more like floating across the yard. I remember just staring at it, thinking it had to be headlights from a car on the street. I went back to reading my book, and then I decided to look out the window to my left, and the shades were drawn, so there was no possible way it could have been a car headlights. I never got up and locked a door so fast in my life. My mom has a few ghost stories, one with an Ouija board that has caused me to never have tried that game so as long as I live. Okay. This has been a good live stream, folks. Thank you all for joining me. This has been fun. The day's been a good live stream, but it's come to the end now. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read Comics, They're Bad for You, okay? The there in the title, it's Read Comics There. The there is spelled There. It's misspelled purposely. So yeah, purposely. Yeah, I misspelled it so that when you basically tap out the name of my YouTube channel in the search bar, read comics that are bad for you, it'll take you directly to me. Make sure yeah. If you want to watch this stream again as soon as it's finished, go to past live streams or Apex Comics. Good night. Yeah, good night. Go to past live streams on my YouTube channel if you want to watch this stream again, because YouTube buries my videos for at least a whole day, so you can't just go to my channel and watch my live streams. You have to basically go to past live streams for the next few hours or so if you want to watch this stream again. Or you can use the link on the pinned tweet on my Twitter page, which is at 777 megachris1. Leave some comments down below. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that like button for me because it helps me fight the algorithm. It means more people will basically back my graphic novel Scumdogs once it's up on Indiegogo. I work on my book every day, folks, and when it's finished, it'll be up on once my graphic novel is finished, it'll be up on Indiegogo. So go back it. Let's see. Hit that notification bell and make sure to hit the part of the notification bell that will give you all future notifications. And please share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. All right, folks, go over and subscribe to the YouTube channels Stitched Together Pics, Robot Co-op, and Creepy Little Book. They're all good channels. I'm Chris Williams. And I'll be back again tomorrow with another live stream around maybe 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock p.m. or maybe 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or 11 o'clock p.m. So be sure to come back. So be sure to come back again then. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me.